I will go ahead and get started. I just want to say good afternoon to all of you leaders who are out there and who I hope have tuned in to listen to our talk today. My name is Janice Drake, and I am the wife of Dr. Lawrence M. Drake II, the CEO of LEAD. And it is a pleasure for me to be here to talk with you today. I was asked to share with you guys in about 15 to 20 minutes or less what I know about this whole topic of work-life balance. What is that, right? So hopefully you're at the right discussion, the talk that you want to hear. You have some questions that you'll ask. And my understanding is you'll know how to type those questions in. They're going to send them to me, and before I end the session, I'll try to answer any questions that may be there. But first, let me just tell you a little bit about me and why am I doing this discussion around work-life balance. Real quick, my background is I spent about 22 years in corporate America. 20 years actually, the first 10 of which were with AT&T. Started in a leadership development program. Worked my way up until I was a manager of human resources. So my level of discipline is in the area of human resources. Every facet of HR, training and development, OD, executive coaching, you name it. That's what I did during those 20 years. My second 10 years in corporate America was with the General Electric Company, GE Aerospace, GE Appliances, and then I worked for GE Capital, and I relocated several different cities that I lived in. When I left GE, my career had taken off to a point that I was the vice president of human resources, and I reported in directly to the CEO of that GE Capital business. So a very successful career, big money, you name it. It was the ideal and the dream job. After about 20 years of that, I have to tell you though, I hit a point where my life was so totally out of balance that it began to cost me some things. It cost me family, it cost me a marriage, it cost me my health, all because I wasn't what I would say is balanced, and I'm going to define that in a minute. As I talk about this subject, and again, I wanted to share that little bit about myself with you because I know those of you listening, you may be in school, in college or high school, you may be embarking upon your corporate career, or you may have been in there for several years in the corporate scene and yet trying to figure out, what am I doing? I'm tired. I have no life. How does this work? Who can help me? I felt that way, but I didn't find any who can help me at the time. So I struggled with this. And the reason I like to talk about this topic is because I don't want people to have to struggle. I know about it, and I've had some personal experiences and challenges with it. The good news is I've also found some solutions for it, and I want to share some of those solutions with you on things that you can do and put in place to help you find that so-called balance in your life. Now, what is balance? What is it? I wrote a book. I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people as I was going through my own personal experience, right? And I asked a lot of people, what are you doing? How do you define it? You know, what's the formula for this thing? And I wrote a book after I left corporate America that took into account a lot of personal learnings as well as the things that I learned from other people. That book is called The Balancing Act: How to Get a Life When You Got a Career. Now, career in this case doesn't mean you're in corporate or a job. It could be that you're at home, you're the housewife, you're the student. It's still a career. The question is, how do you manage it in a way that you're not about to lose your mind as you go through this? I found a quote in the book, and I want to share this with you real quick because it's the best quote that I found. If you're familiar with the author, what is his name here? James Patterson, writes all kinds of books. But he had one book that to me was the very essence of what we're going to talk about today. He said this: imagine life is a game in which you are juggling 5 balls. The balls are called work, family, health, friends, and integrity. It could be anything, but those were his. And you're keeping all of them in the air. But one day, you finally come to understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. The other four balls, however, family, health, friends, and integrity, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, perhaps even shattered. Once you truly understand the lesson of the five balls, you'll have the beginning of balance in your life. And I just found that profound. I just found that to summarize everything that I was feeling. Because you see, I had a lot of balls in the air. I was juggling all of it. And there were a couple of those balls that were very fragile. They were made of glass. It was my marriage. It was my children. It was my health. It was my relationship with God. And then there was the ball of work. But you know what? I kept that ball of work in the air all the time. The others started falling, and I started losing that which was most important to me. Maybe you're feeling the same thing. And if so, I don't want you to struggle through it. But I hope you'll listen to what I share with you. Maybe you'll choose to get a copy of the book. Totally up to you. I'm not trying to sell a book here. But looking at how do you do life different. Now, I've got a few props that I tend to use when I do this. And I'm sitting, so it may be a little difficult. I don't have 5 balls in the air. I have 3. And one thing I did is I learned how to juggle. Believe it or not, it's going to look weird while I'm sitting here. And they're falling all over the place, right? So what does that mean? They're bumping into each other. Why did I want to do that? Why look at the whole act of juggling? Because what you'll find is when you're juggling, you've got all these different things in the air. They collide with one another. One fall because you drop it. You don't get to do whatever it was. And oh my God, I forgot to pick my kid up or something, right? But you realize it's difficult keeping all of these things in the air at the same time without losing your mind. Well, the other prop that I use a lot, and you'll appreciate this. This is my favorite. This is my favorite belt, and it says it all. Because you see, as a corporate woman, I thought I could do it all. And you know why? Because of this. You guys, if you can see that, you know that emblem, right? The emblem of superhuman, superwoman, superman, whatever it is. I believed I was this. I believed that I had the power to carry it all. I had the power to do it all. I had the power to juggle 20 balls at one time, and I was going to be superior in all of them. Needless to say, I dropped a lot of balls. I broke a lot of very precious things to me, and I had to learn and to accept I am not superhuman. I am not superwoman. And I also suffered with a horrible addiction. Maybe you're familiar with this one. I was a workaholic. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I was. But I also was in good company with a lot of tremendous people, and a lot of people suffer with that. We become workaholics. We try to do nothing but work all the time, and stopping ourselves from this is as difficult as the alcoholic who struggles to not want another drink and to stop. So I don't know how many of you out there are guilty of being a workaholic or who are guilty of being superhuman. But I want to tell you, if you don't do something about it, you're going to be forced to do something about it. And I want you to be proactive. And I want you to find a solution up front before you drop all your precious balls, before your superhuman powers go away. You find the answer for this. So how do you find the answer? What is it that you do? And let me just share with you a few secrets, a few things that I learned, and I hope they'll help you. One is I had to learn how to define balance. Because again, when we hear that word, sometimes I hate that word, work-life balance. What is that, right? Because when we think of something being balanced, we kind of think of the scale. Remember the medical scale, and everything is balanced like this. Well, that's not true to life. That's not realistic, and everything isn't going to be totally balanced. So the first thing I had to do, and what I would recommend that you do, is to define for yourself, what is balance? What is balance for you? Because for one person, balance means I leave work every day at 5, I am at home, and I'm going to be there for my family. For another person, it might mean I just want to get home 2 nights a week and enjoy my family. Or I want to take a 2-week vacation and I never have to be on the phone. Balance means different things. But I think when we say that word, what we're really saying is, how do I do the things that I do at home and at work without feeling guilty that I have shorted one or the other? I don't know, do you define it the same? But you have to define it. But it's this feeling that we get. When I hear people say, and my life is totally out of balance, I dig a little deep when I'm coaching them and I say, what does that mean? And usually what they say is, it means I don't have a life. I feel like I'm not taking care of my family the way I want to. If I try to take care of my family, my career suffers. You have to define what it is. Once you define it, then you can do something in terms of, how do I do what I do differently so that I can get that feeling where there is no guilt about what it is that I'm doing. So lesson number 1, write it down. First thing I have to do is to define balance for me. Don't define it based on what somebody else says. Don't define it because someone you know spend more time with their kids or do more fun things. You define it for you. The second thing that I had to do, and I would instruct you to do, is we only have 24 hours in a day. You don't get any more than that. So what are you doing in those 24 hours? Where are you spending your time? What are you working on? So in the book, there's a list that I provide, or a wheel, right? And the wheel lists all the various things that one will do, such as I work, I have to take care of my children, I do community work, I go to my church, I have to clean the house. By the way, I need to go work out, I go to school and I take some classes. So you go through all of that. You get this list, right, of all of the things that you do. Then you look at that list and you determine how much time are you spending on all of those things. Now, when I did this, the one realization for me was that about 75% of my time was being spent on work. Okay, so you do the math. 25% left to take care of all of those other things, pretty impossible. So I felt bad most of the time. I felt guilty most of the time because the things that I wanted to do, I couldn't get to because work was eating up all my time. So you're going to do that first sheet to say, here are all the things that I do and how much time I'm spending on them. But then you do another chart that says, this is how much time I want to spend on these things, right? So I want to spend maybe 50% of the time at work. I want to spend 20% of my time with my family. Again, you do the math. You can make it add up to 100%, or it can be something else. But the purpose of this, what we're asking you to do, is to look at and to define, where is your time going every day? How are you spending it? What is it being used up on? And wherever those gaps are, then you have to figure out how to close the gaps. Now, it gets a little tricky to do that. But again, here's some suggestions on how you do that. After you figured it out, here's where my time is going. The next thing you want to look at is peel apart work from home. And in this exercise, you're going to look at both. So let's take home, for instance. You're going to make a list of, here are all the things I have to do at home. All right, so the thing to look at is, this is a lot of stuff that's going to take a lot of time. And you know what? You got to ask yourself the question, are you the only person who can do those things at home? Generally, the answer to that question is no. However, when you are suffering from the superwoman, superman syndrome, you're going to feel like you have to do it all. But that is a lie. Maybe you saw your parent, your mother, or your father do it all. But maybe their circumstances were different. Maybe they didn't work. Mom didn't work. Mom was able to take care of the kids in the house. You have to work and do that. So you're trying to be something that you're not, right? But what you want to look at when you think of all those things you have to do at home, what are the other resources you can deal with? Now, in the corporate environment, we always used to look at activities and work that was being done that we could outsource, right? So why would you not outsource some of the things that you're doing from home? Example, one of the things I had, my kids needed help with their homework, right? I was not very good at helping them with their homework. It wasn't something I was good at, if it was math or whatever, and it really brought out the ugly in me. Kids would be sitting at the table crying. Maybe you've experienced this. So you know what I did? I outsourced the homework. I found tutors to come in and to tutor them on things that I couldn't do. There was outdoor work, lawn work that has to be done. Hate that stuff. So you know what? We outsourced it. And the way I looked at it was I am helping someone else with their business. You know, you got to psych yourself up a little bit to be okay with this sometimes. But I am helping somebody else in their business. They're doing that. And the time I would have used to do that activity, I now have that time maybe to sit and to be with my children or go to a movie or love up on my husband, whatever that might be. So look at how to outsource. But my greatest discovery of who I could outsource to was, you know what? I had a husband and 2 children at home. 3 people living in the same household with me that I could outsource that work to. Why would you not do that? Too many people are saying, well, the kids are busy, I can't bother them, the husband doesn't want to do it. There are 3 other people living in that house, and you want to learn how to outsource. You are teaching your children skills and how to do things. And together we sat down, looked at that list, and decided who was going to do what. And we were rotated if there were some things like taking the garbage out. And absolutely hate to do that. Well, you don't have to do it all the time, but you got a week out of a month where you're taking the garbage out, and that's your job. So the key here is learning to let go and to outsource. Now, the same can apply in the work environment. You got a lot of things to do. If you have employees, there's no reason for you to be totally overwhelmed because you have people that you can outsource to. You delegate it. That's what we call it in the work environment. But sometimes we refuse to do that, and you know why, right? Well, if I give it to them to do, it's not going to be done as good as if I did it myself. A little bit of perfectionism going, a little bit of fear of letting go. If you want to find balance, you're going to have to learn how to let it go. If you're an individual contributor in that work environment, or you're a student and you don't have anyone to do that, you do have friends, you have peers that you can work with, and together you find a way to get the work done. One of the things that really got to me, I was not very good at saying no to people. I don't know if any of you struggle with that. That little 2-letter word, no, 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 right? We need to practice how to say that. Well, I learned a very creative way to say no in the workplace, because you can't just do it. People feel like you're not being a nice team player, right? So what I started doing was, when people would ask me to do things, I started asking them to help me. So I would say something like this: you know what? I'll be happy to help you with that report. However, I've got a lot going on and I could really use your help doing this. So how about we do a little barter? I'll do this for you if you would do this for me. Most people don't do that, but why not? Because what I also learned when I would ask that, many of the people who were asking me to do things would then turn around and say, oh, that's okay, I'll do it. What I realized is people were dumping their work on me, making my plate fuller so that they were free to go do the things that they want to do. Their life was more balanced than mine was. So it taught me some things. So you want to learn how to do that. The last thing I want to leave you, because I think my time is getting close here, is I came to the realization when I did the research and I sort of did my own introspection and reflection that there was an enemy to this whole thing about life balance. And you know who that enemy was? It was me. The greatest enemy to finding this definition of balance in one's life is you. You are your worst enemy because you are the person who makes the decisions. You are the one who choose what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how much time you want to apply to it, when you say no or when you should or shouldn't say no. But when you stop and really think about it, you have the control. The power of choice lies with you. For me, I was the one choosing to go home from work, fix a nice dinner for my kids and my husband, sit down and do those things. That was my choice. I never checked in to find out if they appreciated it or even wanted it. But in my mind, I felt that was important to do, and I was going to do that for them, whether they wanted it or not. Now, really, how much sense does that make? You want to be looking at and doing the things that matter the most for your family, that gives you some relief. So I had to make some choices that were a little different than what I originally was thinking about. And it lied within myself. So you have to ask yourself, what are you doing? What is it that you're doing that's causing you to feel so out of balance? What are the things you keep saying yes to when perhaps you should say no? But look at the choices that you're making, and how can you make those choices differently? What would you do different there? I would encourage you to get a copy of the book. And again, if you can't, if you would like to call me directly because you're having a problem with this in this area, I want you to call me. My number is 804-651-4265. I have a special interest in you guys, you leaders, because you are a part of a tremendous organization. And I am incredibly proud of you. And you have capability to be something great. And what I don't want to see happen to you is you burn out before that time. So again, my number is 804-651-4265. If you want to email me, it's JD for Janice Drake, Hope360, HOPE 360 @gmail.com. And Hope 360 stands for Helping Other People Excel. That's my company. When I stepped out of corporate America, I formed this company, Hope 360, with the intent of living my latter days, helping other people excel in their entire life, in the full circle of their life, which is the 360. Mind, body, spirit. How do you bring those three in alignment? So if you contact me, I promise I will call you back. We will talk about your issues around work-life balance, and I will help you in the best way you can. But what I want you to do is to not just keep living in this, feeling as if your life isn't what you want it to be, living under the stress and the pressure that's there, because you don't have to. There is a way to find balance in work, in life, and you'll find it. I want to thank you for this time together. Know it's gone very quickly. I'm not sure if I have any questions, so let me see real quick. Doesn't look like I have any questions, but feel free, if you're watching this video after this program, again, send me a message, give me a call, and allow someone who's gone through it and experienced the worst of being unbalanced, but yet who currently today can honestly say, I have a terrifically balanced life, and I'd love to show you how to do the same. Thanks so much. Thank you for allowing me to join you. I hope it's been helpful in some way, and I look forward to doing it again.